Artillery strikes fell alongside the rain, shrieking through the air and blistering the already cratered earth with their searing sulfur. General Shep stood in a nearby bunker and kept his helmet on, yet the leaking rainwater and crummy dirt still made its way into his eyes. "More?" He had to yell the question at the poor scout, as the sound of metal death crowded the air. "Is that what you said, son?" The scout was covered in crusted over blood, and he still hadn't been able to seek out medical attention for his shot-off earlobe. "Yes, sir." He nodded his head and pointed to the map with a shaking hand. That shaking wouldn't stop for the rest of his life. "They're prepping to surround us." "Surround?" "The flanks, sir. They have been compromised. Both General Kitts and General Milton have had to retreat." Shep stood still as the earth rumbled from another shell. His face crystallized into a white state of fear and panic. That horrible concoction of unequal truth. They retreated. The young man shifted on his feet. Yes, sir. Haven't those orders already reached you?" He was tentative. He felt like the utterly wrong person to be leveling this kind of news. "Are you not retreating already?" Shep's hand came up to his mouth, oscillating from panic like an uncontrolled hose. He sat down, taking off his helmet with his other hand and running it across his bald head. God. The words of the shriveling general sucked tearing colour out from the small forward command. The place was grey, and as a light breeze snaked through the room, it carried out the souls of all the men. Not a single one of them said a word. No orders were made. No strategies laid out. Dread commanded a moment. "General." A colonel laid a hand on the sunken leader, feeling the guilt that comes from lack of action. "We must act fast." In that moment, the sound of rubber thumping boots snagged everyone's attention. In the shrunken state of the place, all of their eyes barely raised to meet the sound. It was a man, ammo strapped across his chest, and cigar hanging lazily from his lips. His face was tough and covered in black smut, and his chest was wide and covered with the tattered scars of a ripped-up uniform. "This here old Shep's place?" The same colonel straightened up. "That's General Shep. You are?" The man walked in and dusted off his pant legs, letting loose some expended casings as he did. "Most of the boys call me Dutch." He extended a large hand. "So you can just call me that." The colonel looked down at his commanding officer, then back up at the strange man. "I don't see any insignia. What's your rank, Dutch?" "Oh, well." Dutch grasped his own hand and shook it with extravagant theatrics. "That's a little complicated there, boss man." He walked across the room and slumped back into a wooden chair, blowing up a large cloud of smoke as he laid his head back towards the ceiling. "I'm not really a part of this whole dog and pony show of yours. Always been more of a simple man myself." He shoved the scout with a joking hand and sly wink. "Don't like to be tied down, you get me?" "No." The colonel was tart. "I don't get you, and if you don't explain the meaning of your intrusion quickly, I will have you arrested for wasting the general's time." "Well, you see," he puffed on the cigar again, "old General Kitts, he's a big old buddy of mine. And when he heard that you all hadn't started this whole runaway thing of yours, he sent me over to help." "To help?" "That's right." He shook his head. "And how do you intend to help an entire army retreat? We're on the brink of being surrounded." A horribly mischievous grin creeped across Dutch's face. "Truth be told, old buddy, I'm glad you asked." He stood up and walked back out of the bunker, humming lightly as he did, and not hesitating as the nearby falling artillery shook the ground. "You see," he grabbed a large box he laid outside of the bunker, easily the size of a full-grown man, and brought it down, slamming it onto the table. "I'm a man who has what you could call destructive tendencies. And I plan on giving those little fellas across from you a bit of a light show, as you all tuck tail and make like smoke." The colonel scowled. I don't get it. Yeah, I believe that. Dutch smiled, and shrugged to the wide-eyed scout. Some people just need shit spelled out, you know. He stood taller, using his hands to make simple gestures and speaking slowly. I make things go boom, and you go bye-bye. The colonel gasped. You arrogant son of a bitch, I'm going... Yes. It was the general, eyes still towards the ground and face as grave as a cemetery. Yes, we accept the offer. The colonel was stunned. Sir, this is ridiculous. We don't even know if this man is telling the truth, let alone if he can even do as he claims. Dutch ignored him. Mighty happy to hear that from you, boss man. He picked the box back up and lugged it over his shoulder, patting the frozen colonel on his arm as he did. Tell you the truth, though, I was going to do this either way. It's my favorite part of the week. He turned, strutting back up from the bunker and heading out towards no man's land. I'll get started in about 30. I'd recommend you fellas get to moving by then. This should provide enough panic and shock to give you all some space. Dutch. It was the colonel, face wild and voice loud. What's even in that fucking box? This baby? He gave it a shrug. I've been trying to come up with some names for it. Haven't got anything too solid yet, but got some ideas. You invented that? Oh yeah. He smiled. I've just got a little nickname for it right now. Call this bad boy the Bazooka. Bazooka? He blinked. What's it do? Oh. He laughed loudly and turned back around. You'll see, old buddy. You'll see. It's just a weapon. You could say that. But the weapon is only half of the fun, my dear buddy. The other half? Well... He walked off, his voice trailing away into the mixing chaos of war, as he yelled out the last half of his message. Remember what I told you all. I am a man of destructive tendencies.